But we also know throughout history, people cheat. And when I say cheat, I'm talking about from a game theoretical perspective. People will do what they need to do for their family, for their money, and they will say, I have enough, I can escape. But there is no escape from a centralizing system. So what you asked there, that clash, it's inevitable. And that clash has been going on over and over and over since Bitcoin was discovered or invented. There's been a centralized system, a control system, cannot allow Bitcoin.
Yeah.
Can't, because they're two different systems. You almost have to say it 1,000 times to yourself. The natural state of the free market is deflation.
Yeah.
Which means you've never lived in one.
No.
Never.
No.
You don't have.
Unless you've been denominating your net worth in Bitcoin, you have been experiencing
you're living in one.
Yes.
You're living in the first global free market that has ever existed. And as more and more people in this network, as more and more people build to it and move their time to it, we are both the map and the territory. It starts to expand, and you start to see a totally different experience than most people over here measuring their control system see. And you look at them and you think, for me too, for a long time, am I the crazy one?
Yeah.
Then I go back, and 10 years ago, I didn't really know this much about Bitcoin.
Yeah.
And so I was in that system thinking I was in a normal system.
Yeah.
And so it takes a while to really understand that.
Absolutely. I think you got to pay your dues. You got to stick around a couple cycles.
Yeah.
You got to endure the volatility.
Yeah.
You got to earn your stripes. You got to have your Bitcoin in self-custody.
Yeah.
To have many heart attacks when your hardware wallet breaks and you got to recover the seed phrase.
Yeah.
And, set up a multi-sig on your own and, pay your dues as a Bitcoiner. And then you understand the sovereignty that it gives you.
Yeah.
And then you imagine the world where, I know it's cliche, but I'm going to use the reference anyway. You understand how many people are still in the matrix. And my next question to you is the phenomenon of inflation being treated as if it's part of nature, the way that politicians talk about it, like the excuses, the war in Ukraine, it's the trade war, it's this. They blame everything and anything but themselves, and people buy into it. And my whole view of politics has completely changed, because the way that I'm seeing it now as a Bitcoiner is modern politics is essentially a popularity contest, and the winner essentially controls the money printer for their side, right? That's what it looks like from my angle. So my question to you is, when does this psyop end? So many people believe that inflation is just a fact of life. Goods go up over time naturally. They don't even question it.
Yeah, and so where does that come from, and where does that psyop end? And if it's been part of our history for 5,000 years and people believe it, that's why I said they have to say the natural state of the free market is deflation 1,000 times. And they have to keep saying it, because when I say that, I didn't say from zero inflation. Somehow politicians and economists get productivity growth mixed up with growth. Productivity growth has faster deflation. And so people talk about this AI, that as we create more AI, we're going to be able to pay back the debt. It's so insane.
Yeah.
As we create more AI, you have faster deflation, which causes the debt to default, which means you have to create more monetary units, which is exactly what I laid out in my book.
Yeah.
Right? So natural rate of deflation from a free market should be over 5% right now.
Yeah.
Meaning every human being on earth would get richer by 5% a year.
Every single year.
Every single human being in Africa, in South America, every single human being on earth would get rich by
But the implications of that are very serious, because if they're not getting richer by 5% every single year, who is getting richer?
Well, so the point, that's the point. That all centralizes, and the puppeteers behind. Now, it's easy to say it's those people. If you had a centralizing force like that, you were at the top of that, you'd spend all your time trying to retain power in that and manipulating time and power. But it's more why I try to keep saying there is no they, because what gives rise to that is us. It's not them, it's us believing that is normal. If you just start with the natural state of the free market is deflation, you have to ask, where does inflation come from? And I'm not talking about inflation from zero. I'm talking from inflation from -5 or -10 or whatever the productivity rate is in the world. Where does inflation come from? It only comes from one thing: manipulation of money.
Yeah.
Only. And I don't think many people have many Bitcoiners have gone down that path. Very few people have really gone to the bottom of what does that mean? What does it mean for me if I'm measuring in that system? Because I'm contributing to that system.
Yep.
And then the more I do in that system, and the more I think it's somebody else, turn the mirror around, the more it's me.
Yeah.
Right.
The more focus and attention you're putting towards it. Would it be safe to say, and one of the things that I see is, and it's fascinating to me, again, from a Bitcoiner's perspective, the opposing parties, essentially the politicians blaming the opposing side for rising prices, which is hilarious to me. And my question to you is, do governments fear falling prices themselves? Because it's like people are like seeking the solution from the wolf, right?
Instead of just saying government, you know, because Bitcoin is that people are trapped in a jail cell, right? Screaming at and I've said this many times, screaming at their captor while the jail cell is open because you have an open you have an open protocol. So they just would walk over any single person on the planet. So when we talk about would politicians see this, or would this person see this, or we just have to say, would you, right? Would every person see this? And I would venture to say a lot of Bitcoiners right now who call themselves Bitcoiners still don't know, right? And still they would fall for these traps, those people, and they would give that more energy because they're still measuring in a fiat currency.
Yeah.
They're still measuring in price go up.
Yeah.
Right. They're still centralizing. They're essentially moving from self-custody to non-self-custody to trade a derivative instrument. In other words, they're increasing their risk to move to the centralized system.
Yeah.
And so if many Bitcoiners are still doing this, and of course politicians, of course other people who don't know this yet are doing it. And this is why the system change is so chaotic and so hard, because it's actually not the system, it's us. It's our cognitive dissonance of where we're going to spend our time. And that's happening to 8 billion people on the planet, and it's going to take time.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are going to fight this. So what would you expect to happen from this? If you've always lived in a system of theft, always, and that system had to centralize more and more because it's based on stealing that productivity that should flow to all humans and centralizing it up, then you have to ask, who would win from such a system? And if you're giving more power to that system and complaining about the people who are winning from that system, maybe it's not them, it's you.
The power comes
from us.
The power comes from people choosing to participate in that said system with their voice, their time, and their money. If we all, as I hate to use the word collective, but as a whole, decide to opt out and to participate in the alternative system, it takes power away from that system.
They're incompatible together.
Okay.
One has to, so all the centralization. So when people say, I'm not going to do this because I'm worried about what the government will do later, they're feeding their worst fear. They're in a zero-sum game, getting worse and worse and worse, and their fear is stopping them from moving to self-sovereign.
Need liquidity without having to sell your Bitcoin? For more than 6 years now, Ledn has been the trusted choice for Bitcoin-backed lending, with transparency, security, and trust at their core. I absolutely love these guys, and I personally not only have an account with them, but also a loan. And some of the key features that I love about Ledn is the fact that there are no monthly payments. You pay at the end of the term. You also have the ability to roll over the loan as well, and you can pay it back whenever you want. Essentially what they do is that they help their clients unlock the liquidity of their BTC, allowing you to HODL while still accessing the wealth of your Bitcoin. They've been battle tested with their focus on transparency, security, and trust, allowing them to build a proven track record of client success and security, helping tens of thousands of clients harness the value of their digital assets with confidence and peace of mind. Learn more about what your BTC can do for you today. Simply Bitcoin viewers get 0.25% off their first loan by using the link in the video/podcast description. What are you waiting for? Head over to ledn.io today.